Kellen here with Screen Innovations, and today we're going to show you how to install a 0G with an external mount. As always, our products come with a 1-year limited warranty, as long as they're installed by an authorized SI dealer. If you need any help while you're in site or have any questions about the product, don't hesitate to call our technical support team. We're always here ready to assist you if you have any questions or need assistance. So right now we're just unboxing the screen. So once you open the box, you should have your hardware kit. This is going to have all of your mounting hardware and all of your connections and wall switch, data cable, power cord, everything inside that box. So you'll just want to set that aside for a second. On the hardware box, you'll see the serial number for the screen. That's how we identify what screen it is. You'll also have a flyer inside of the box, and it's just our support number, so that if you're having any difficulties while you're installing the screen, always reach out to us. That way we can jump on the phone with you and get you all set up. You'll also see the serial number of the screen is written on the foam, and that is how we identify it whenever you call us in if you need any assistance. We're gonna open up this hardware box and get the mounting brackets out and get our mounting brackets on the wall so that we can go ahead and mount the unit. Instruction manual will be in the box, your mounting brackets, and the screws to mount it. You always kind of want to look through the hardware box and just make sure that everything's in there. You should have your mounting brackets and screws. You're going to get a wall switch, power cord, your 3.5 mono jacks for the 12-volt trigger. You'll get your IR remote, the IR dongle, your data cable for the wall switch. Then you got an Allen key for micro adjustments, some gloves, and then the idler removal tool. All right, so now we're gonna get the screen mounted up. So we've already got our mounting brackets up here. Main key about the mounting brackets is when you get them mounted, they have to be level and planar. If these are not level and planar, it's going to put your cassette out of level, which will then just domino to the rest of the screen. Okay, so we've removed all of the packaging off of the unit, and so we're at the point where we're ready to mount the screen. If you notice, we haven't removed the packaging around the material tube. We're gonna leave that in place until we have it up. So before you mount it, you just wanna measure the length of the cassette. That way you can get your bracket placement correct so that you're ready to mount it up on the brackets. I'm on. Okay, so we got the cassette onto the mounting brackets. So our next step is we're gonna go ahead and secure that in place. There are set screws on the bottom of the brackets that we're just gonna tighten up, and that will lift the cassette up flush with the top of the brackets. So we now have the cassette mounted onto the brackets. We've tightened up our set screws to lock this thing into place. The top of the cassette is now completely flush with the top of the bracket, so it's nice and secure and in place. After this, we would throw a level on top of this. Make sure it's perfectly level, because if your cassette is not level, that means your wing and your lower tube isn't going to be level once you go to start to set everything up. So just make sure your cassette is perfectly level. Okay, so now that we have our cassette mounted, what we're gonna do is we're gonna take this fascia off. By taking the fascia off, it'll just allow us to work easier on the screen. All you have to do to take it off is just come right here on the left and right side of the cassette, and you'll feel a little thumb screw. You just undo that thumb screw, the fascia will unlock, and then it's just as simple as pulling it away from the unit and lifting up, and then just place it down somewhere safe. And now we have full view of the unit. Before we supply power to the unit, we're going to want to go ahead and check all of these pulleys, and we're just going to do a nice visual inspection and make sure that everything is on the spools. At this step, you can sit here and you can go ahead and remove the stickers that are covering up the Dyneema on the helix. And what you're going to want to do is you're just going to want to check that and make sure that all of that Dyneema is going right through the grooves of the helix. You're going to check that on the left side and the right side. Okay, so your power input's right at the top of the cassette. And then you've also got the hole to where you're going to run any of your controls through there. So we're going to go ahead and plug this bad boy in. Our next step is to connect the data cable and the wall switch to the unit so that we can control the motor. Now, whenever you are at this step, use our data cable to initially set up the screen. After you get the screen set up with its upper and lower limit, then you can go ahead and use your cable, but for setup purposes, use our data cable. Okay, so we got the data cable and the wall switch. We're gonna plug the one into the RJ45 port at the bottom of the PCB tray. The other end into the back of the wall switch. You're gonna see your dip switch toggle should be in the middle position, which is run mode. What we're gonna do is we're gonna put that into the down position, which is lower limit setting mode. We now have manual control over the motor. When you're in the lower limit setting mode, only use the up and down arrows on the wall switch. Don't use the stop button. If you accidentally press that stop button for too long, it'll reverse the polarity of the motor, and then the screen will start going in the opposite direction. So it's just always a good rule of thumb, don't hit the stop button. Okay, so I got the wall switch in lower limit setting mode. First thing I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna drop this tube a little bit lower, and then we're gonna remove this, the foam around the tube. Okay, so that's about enough right now to get these off, so we're gonna go ahead and remove it. So if you pay close attention to what's happening up here, you'll notice that as I lower the screen, your pulley is moving closer to this stopping plate, okay? So as I lower it, I'm trying to set my drop height. Now, right here, you can see that this pulley is about to engage with this stopping plate. Now, if this pulley hits this plate, what's gonna happen is this material is gonna start to unroll, okay? Now, we wanna drop this down further. So what I'm gonna do at this point is I'm gonna back this off, and I'm gonna send it back towards the center of the cassette so that I can achieve more drop. So to do that, it's really simple. There is a little difference depending on when your unit was built, okay? On this spring return pulley knob, you'll notice that we just have a thumb screw down at the bottom, okay? What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna keep my hand on the pulley knob. I'm gonna loosen this up, okay? Just a little bit so that I can turn the spring return knob, okay? Now you can see what I'm doing here is I'm just loosening it up, and you do not want to let go of this, because if you let go of it, it'll just go crashing towards the center of the cassette. So I'm just moving this out because I need to get more drop. And so we're gonna keep backing up because I need a little bit more. All right, that looks good right about there. Okay, so all I'm gonna do now is I'm just gonna tighten that back up so I can lock that in place. Okay, and now I know I'm good. So now you'll see that since I backed that off, I have more drop that I can work with because I have more Dyneema here. And so as I continue to lower this screen, you're gonna see this pulley is starting to move towards the stopping plate. And I think that right there is where we're gonna wanna set our drop height on this screen. All right, so once you got your drop height, so this is where my viewing area is gonna start, okay? So this is gonna be the top of the viewing area. Once I've got that where I want it, we're gonna come right back to this pulley and the pulley knob, and we're gonna do this on both the left and the right-hand side. We're gonna loosen this back up. That way we can turn it. And what I wanna do is I want to pull this to the stopping plate because this is where I want my screen to start unrolling. So we're just gonna go ahead and start bringing that guy to the stopping plate. Once it fully engages with the stopping plate, you're just gonna tighten that wing nut back up. And now our drop height is set. And we're gonna want that to do that on both the left and the right-hand side. Okay, now one thing to point out, depending on when your screen was built, you may have a different assembly. If you notice, the assemblies are almost exactly the same, except on the previous version where you had to kind of hold that knob so that the spring return pulley doesn't, move on you. This one has a little lever. And so whenever you're trying to rotate this knob, all you gotta do is you just go ahead and depress that, and then you'll be able to spin it. When you let it go, it'll lock it. And then if you need to do micro adjustments, you can just do micro adjustments. So there's the lever right there. See, so it can't go back, but you can keep going like that. But if you need to go the other way, you just pull the lever, then you can go the other way. Once you have it, once you let go, you can't go back clockwise. Okay, so we're at the point of the install. We've got our viewing height set to where we want it. We're gonna go ahead and remove the protective cover around the material tube itself. If you'll notice on this sticker right here, it's got your serial number written on it. It's always a good number to know. That way, if you ever need to contact support or have any questions about the unit, you can give us a call, just refer to that number and we'll be able to pull your unit up in our system. So we're gonna go ahead and take this off so that we can expose the material roll. You wanna be very careful so you don't damage the material. So I'm just sitting here and disconnecting the two pieces. Oh, that came off a little quick, but. So you want to take the bottom piece off first. It's just easier that way. And then you can take the top off. Do not use blades when you're taking these off. If you use a blade, you could possibly cut the Dyneema and your screen's toast. Okay, so we got the hard shell off. Now we're gonna remove the foam around the material. You'll see that there are a number of stickers up here that are telling you, do not use blades. If you use blades, you'll cut right into the material and damage the screen. All right, so now that we've got the protective cover off of the screen and the foam off of the screen, we're gonna go ahead and lower it all the way down, okay? So I got my wall switch. I'm still in lower limit setting mode. So I'm just gonna hold the down button and the screen will start to deploy. Now, one thing, when you are lowering this screen, once it gets towards the bottom and you start to see the black horizontal border at the bottom, you do not want to deploy this screen past 3 inches of the black showing, okay? So right there, that is about perfect. We're gonna go up just a little bit, okay? If you keep lowering that screen and you go past, 2 to 3 inches, you can damage the tabs here, okay? This screen is not intended to be opened up past 3 inches of this black showing at the bottom, okay? So right where I have it set right now, that is the perfect spot to set your lower limit. So I'm gonna flip to the back of the wall switch. I'm in the lower limit setting mode right now. I'm gonna move that into the middle position. What that does is it puts me back into run mode. and it locks in that lower limit, okay? So now that I'm in run mode, you'll see if I tap the up button once, the screen is gonna start to roll up to its upper limit. If I hit the down button, it's gonna go to the lower limit that we just set. After we have our screen fully deployed, the next step of the install is to check and make sure that the wing is level. If the wing's not level, you'll see waves in the material. So we gotta make sure that this guy is level to the cassette. You may think, oh, all I need to do is put a level on here, and if it's level, then I'm good. That's not how it works. We need to actually measure from the top of the cassette. So you'll see Sam is measuring from the top of the cassette, and he is going right there to the bottom of the wing. And he's gonna get that measurement and check where we're at on the left side. All right, so we're gonna head over to the right side of the screen and get the measurement on this side and compare it against the left. Sam is measuring from the top of the cassette to the bottom of the wing. And what are we at?
We're at 1/8 high on this side.
1/8 high on this side. So what that means is we're gonna need to lower this side by about 1/8 of an inch. So we're gonna go up to the spring return pulleys here, and we're gonna loosen that up so that we can drop this down about 1/8 of an inch. So you'll see Sam here jump up there. And again, you're gonna hold on to the knob, loosen up the wing nut. So we measured the left side, we've measured the right side, we made the adjustment on the right side. We now know that we've got equal measurements on the left and right, so our wing is now perfectly level. We're gonna go ahead and send it up to its upper limit just to make sure that the upper limit is set correctly and that the Hall effect sensor illuminates whenever the screen hits its upper limit. Okay, so I sent the screen up to its upper limit, and I can see that the Hall effect sensor did not illuminate. What that tells you is that the screen material roll, the upper limit is just set a little bit too low. There's a magnet in the end of this wing that needs to line up with that Hall effect sensor, and when it does, that'll illuminate green, and that tells you, hey, the upper limit is set correctly. So we're just gonna get the wall switch. Right now I'm in run mode, which is the middle position. I need to make an adjustment to the upper limit. So I'm gonna go into the up position, which is upper limit setting mode. I'm only gonna use the up and down arrows to make adjustments. So if I tap on this, you'll see that the material tube raised and the green light illuminated. That tells you, hey, the upper limit is set perfect to where it needs to be. I'm gonna go to the back of the wall switch. I wanna save that position. So I'm gonna move it from the up position into the middle position. Now that new upper limit is set, I can go ahead and test it because I'm back in run mode. And if I tap the down button, screen will go down. If I tap the up button, it'll roll up and go straight back to that upper limit that I just reset. You can go ahead and disconnect the wall switch if you're not going to use it. If you're going to add any external controls, if you're going to run a data cable from your control system to operate the screen via dry contact, or if you're going to run a 12-volt trigger to the board to run it by 12-volt trigger, you can run all of that into the top of the PCB tray here and connect it to the PCB tray. To access the PCB tray, you're just going to undo these two screws down here. This will slide down and you can connect anything that you want into the RJ45 ports on the board. This is where we're going to input the IRI for the unit so that we can use the IR remote to control it. So the IRI is just held in with a wing nut right here. So you're just gonna attach it right there. And then the data cable, you're just gonna plug it into the RJ45 port. And then this is gonna be your IRI right there. So I'm gonna go ahead and press down on the IR remote and I can see that the screen motor responds. I can go ahead and send it back up by pressing up on the IR remote, and the screen rolls right back up to its upper limit. Last step is to put the fascia back on and lock it into place. All right. All right, so now the screen is fully installed. We're gonna go ahead and just give it one full up and down just to make sure everything is running properly. All right, screen drops, everything's flat, looks good. We're gonna go ahead and send it back up. And so that's how you install the external mount 0G. Always remember, if you're on site and you're having technical difficulties, don't hesitate to give us a call. The phone number is 512-832-6939. Choose option 1, on-site technical support, and we can help troubleshoot through any issues.